The Secret of Mana Remake is here. I've been anticipating this game for a while. I didn't play the original when I was a kid, but from everything I'd heard, this was a game I'd missed out on, so I was excited to play the remake and experience the story for myself. I decided to try the original around 6 weeks ago. I played for a few hours and stopped. Just from that time with it, I thought the game was amazing. I love old school JRPGs and I really enjoyed my time with Secret of Mana. The graphics and the music were especially good. The game wasn't perfect. There were design and UI issues that were common for games back in the early 90s, but it's forgivable because this is a game more than 20 years old. I decided to stop so I wouldn't spoil the story for myself because I knew I'd be playing the remake, but my short amount of time with it left me with a major concern. The original was so good, why even bother remaking it? It turns out that question was actually very valid. So, what's the game about? You play as a boy called Randy that discovers the Mana Sword. He pulls it out from the stone it was trapped in, but in doing so he unleashed monsters on the world. He goes on an adventure to recover the Mana Sword's power so that he can save the world. It's an action RPG, but each time you strike with your weapon there's a short recharge to allow you to strike with power again. It takes some getting used to, but it means you need to play smartly rather than spamming attack. I've played the Secret of Mana remake up to the same point that I played the original, and so far the updates haven't done much to improve the original. Firstly, the good. The game looks great. The colours and environments look good on the Vita screen. The textures of water and lava in particular look really nice. You can choose to have the original music playing in the background, which is good because the remastered tracks are not as good as the original. The story and gameplay is still good, and fortunately they haven't changed. There's also an autosave when you enter a new area, which is very useful. So, onto the bad. The game has voice acting now, but the characters don't move their mouths to talk. It just feels jarring and weird to see. It's almost better not to have voice acting than treat them in this way. Also, the voice acting is just bad. After the first hour I decided to turn the voices off. I don't know if the lack of facial movement is just on the Vita or on the PS4 too. The load times can be pretty long and the movement feels stiff. You get used to the movement, but it's still noticeable when you try to turn your character left or right. Most annoyingly for me is that the menus haven't been updated. I get that they want to stay faithful to the original, but the menu was not that intuitive. I couldn't figure out how to use an item for my first hour until I accidentally found it. In case you have the same issue as me, just go to the menu screen and press up. I'm also finding there's a bit of a stutter in the graphics, especially for indoor areas. It's slight, but it is noticeable. Lastly, when you attack enemies, there can be a gap between hitting them and them reacting and taking damage. It's not a huge issue, but when you look at a polished action RPG like Ys 8, it just makes the Secret of Mana look lazy. I know I'm being quite negative, and I think that's partly because I got my hopes up that this would be a good remake. Also, from having played the original even just for a few hours and really enjoying it, it made me more excited for this remake. It's still a good game, but I'm not seeing any reason why Square Enix didn't just re-release the original game with trophies. If they're going to make the effort to remake it, then it should have been done properly and really look at what worked and what didn't about the original and make it better, not just throw new graphics on an old game. In my opinion, the pixel graphics actually look better than the 3D graphics. They've done nothing to improve what was good about the original, they've done little to fix things that needed fixing, and most of the changes they have made the game worse. I actually think it was a mistake for me to have played the original, because it's meant that I know what the game was. I think that people that haven't played the original will have less issues with the remake. Anyway, I'm going to continue playing and I'll have a full review in the next few weeks. So have you bought the Secret of Mana remake? What did you think about it? I'd be interested to know whether you've played the original or not played the original and how that's affected your opinion. Leave a comment below, and as always, thanks for watching guys.